Welcome everyone on the live audience. If you're watching this on YouTube, shout out to the YouTube gang. We are presented with a special edition version of Inder University. I'm dubbing it In the Lab because the answer to today's Inder University has not been determined yet. We're actually going to be figuring it out live on stream today. But exactly what are we doing? Well, I had this weird idea when we were working on the last Inder University around cursed items and how Rescue Hood interacts with this item. Now, it might not seem very obvious, or to some of you it might seem incredibly obvious, but there's the potential that Rescue Hood has a special interaction with these cursed items. And you might be really, really confused right now. Allow me to elaborate, okay? What we want to discover today is how do cursed items, more importantly, recovery effects in general, interact with anti-recovery effects, primarily the cursed items. Two things that I've mentioned in the past: Trevenant's Unite move, Phantom Forest. While you're under the effect of that Unite move, HP recovery effects on Trevenant are increased by 50%. Kind of a similar effect as Hood, but only for Trevenant in this case. Slack off on Slowbro, another move that has the potential to increase his own healing amount. Now, what's unknown is that if these mechanics, including Rescue Hood, which increases your healing output by 10%, if these mechanics exist as a lever for HP recovery, plus or minus, where Curse gives you minus HP recovery, these items or mechanics give you plus HP recovery, or if they all just work independent of one another and are multiplicative amongst each other. I don't know. I don't know if people have tested this yet. I was very curious on how this is going to work. So that's the question we're going to be answering today. Now, to some of you, this still might be a little bit confusing. So I wanted to illustrate, perhaps some of you are better with numbers, right? Give you a live example with some numbers on what the goal for today is, okay? So I'm doing this live on stream right now. Disclaimer, there is some math involved. And second disclaimer, I play Pokemon games every day, so I'm not really good at math, so we might screw up the math, but it's okay. So we're gonna take B as our value for the base heal, okay? Imagine this to be a Pollen Puff, Blissey soft-boiled, one tick of Moonlight, whatever it might be, right? We're gonna give this a value, just a baseline value of 100. We just wanna make this easy for ourselves, okay? And the way that you get to this, you know, it's just B. So if your baseline heal is 100, what would your heal be under the effects of a curse item? We'll call that C. Well, curse items reduce your healing output by 30%. So that should be 70, or, you know, B times 0.7 is an easy way to put it, or 0.7B. Basically 30% going away from the original amount. Okay, so that's your base heal. So say you tried to soft boil someone, normally it would do 100. Now they have the effect of a cursed item on them, your ally. Suddenly it's doing 70, okay? Now let's take Rescue Hood, for example, on a target unaffected by cursed items. Well, it would be 100 multiplied by 1.1, or by an additional 10%. So in that case, our heal would be 110. Awesome. Now, this math, pretty simple math. You should be able to follow along. If you're not, it's okay. We'll stick to pictures and whatnot for you afterwards. But, you know, our normal heal is 100. If we try to heal someone with that as a cursed item on them, it's 70. If we try to heal someone while we have a Rescue Hood and they haven't been afflicted by a curse item, it's 110 in this hypothetical situation. Now, what happens, right, if we try to heal someone while we have Rescue Hood on and they have a cursed item on? Well, now there's some variations, right? So we'll mark this as Rescue Hood, you know, with a C and 2. Assuming we take our prior formula here, right? We'd want to take our rescue hood healing, potentially, right? Maybe it's our rescue hood healing times 0.7, right? And it's just rescue hood gets reduced, rescue hood gets boosted, right? It gets boosted from your base, and then it gets lowered by this. And maybe that's what it is, right? And in which case that would be 77. Or, right? Or what I think could be possible, right? And I'm not saying that this is possible, but I'm interested in exploring the potential, right? Is it possible that rescue hood shifts the lever of HP recovery such that it's not being applied on your heal, but rather some global HP recovery stat? In which case, we would take our HP recovery to be baseline 0 for everyone, right? But then it becomes negative 0.3 from the cursed item, and maybe plus 0.1, 10%, negative 30%, because it gets applied plus 10% maybe from rescue hood. And then we would multiply this on our base amount. So by 100, which, you know, would shift our lever from minus 30% to minus 20%. So it'd be, you know, 0.2. And obviously this is not right math, right? Because this is not, if I did 0.2 times 100, that would be, I'd still have to add it back over, right? But so we would do 0.2 times 0.8, make that simple for us, which would give us a value of 80, which is different than the first way to do it, right? So you might think you would need to data mine this, right? But we can just test this. We can just test this in game. We can set up scenarios, take data trials, and then solve it there. Now, if you saw, I talked about Slowbro and Tree earlier. What do they have to do with anything, right? Well, if my theory is correct, and remember, it's just a theory, I don't think it actually is correct. But if it happens to be correct, right? What we would be able to do is take this global healing value number and just add to it. So imagine we're talking about Tree, suddenly Tree in his Unite form has 0.5 recovery, right? And maybe curse items reduce it by 0.3, such that when Tree heals himself by X amount, right? You know, we'll use a fancy X for that, that it would be under a 20% healing modifier, right? I don't know. Remember, this isn't Tree equipping the rescue hood. This is just Tree's baseline ability, which does this. So I don't know. These are questions that I don't have the answer to, but we're going to look to explore those today. What else are we going to be doing today? Well, we're going to start off, we talked about the hypothesis, right? We talked about what could happen. We're going to do a small little recap on items, the items that are involved today from Inder University. If you want to dig deeper into those, you can watch the Inder U items on YouTube for those respective items. We're going to do some live testing where I'm going to pull some people from the chat, and we're going to test, write down our data, and try to figure it out ourselves, and then come to a conclusion. Does it actually matter? So we'll start off by what is actually healing. We're talking a lot about healing. Any of the sources you see on screen, plus some additional ones possibly, are sources of healing. Easy way to keep track of it is if you see a green number pop up on your screen, that means that you've received some source of healing. There's a lot of them. Curse items reduce this amount. Hood, when you're applying it to your allies, increases this amount. Slowbro, Tree, etc. increases amount respectively on themselves as well. Curse items, this is the physical version of the item. Simple way to understand it is if you have this item on, you deal damage to someone for the next 3 seconds, any healing, or the next 1.5 seconds, any healing that target receives is reduced by 30%. There's a physical version of this item for physical attackers, and a special version for special attackers. Rescue Hood, on the other hand, increases the amount of healing and shielding, but we're not really going to be focused so much on shielding today, by 10% only when you apply it to your allies. So for example, Moonlight, if you were to equip Rescue Hood on, and not to say that it's a great item for that character, but if Clefable Moonlights with Rescue Hood on, they would heal their allies for more than they would heal themselves, just as an example. So this is only when you're outwardly applying this. So cool. What does all of this mean? Well, it means that it's time for us to load up the game of Pokemon Unite and do some testing for ourselves. One thing that we want to try to, keep in mind is what data sets are we actually looking for? So what we're going to do is we're going to start off our hypothesis easy on Tree. We'll equip a potion on him, right? So we're going to look for our base potion healing. We'll figure out a level that we're comfortable with, right? We want that healing output value. Then we want his base healing, or rather his healing under his Unite move. So we'll call that ult, right? So ult should be base healing times 1.5, or 1.5b for short. And then we'll want to know cursed healing, like how much he heals under a curse item compared to his baseline, and how much he heals on a curse item based on his Unite move one, right? And this one should be pretty easy, as it should just be the base times 0.7. And then this one, we're not sure. This is what we're trying to look for. We want to know when a tree pops a potion after it's popped its Unite move, while under the effects of a cursed item, does the healing output get increased by 50%? Or does his potion recover for 30% more? 20% more, right? These are the things that we're trying to figure out. Will this answer the question for Rescue Hood? We don't know. Mechanics can definitely be inconsistent in the game of Pokemon Unite. But let's try to find out. We've got our potion on. Let's give the enemy team let's give them a Pikachu and make sure the Pikachu has a cursed item on him themselves. And let's go. So, because we are trying to test Rescue Hood, I think it's easier for us to start out with something simple with Tree. I've mentioned this already a couple times, but just to make it a little bit easier on you guys, we're going to go ahead and read Tree's Unite move description one more time. So I'm live on Unite DB. Breaking news. Phantom Forest, okay? You do the big tree knockup, right? Blah, 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 blah. You shield yourself, blah, blah, blah. While you're shielded, during your Unite move, HP recovery effects applied to tree are increased by 50%. Once again, our goal is to find out whether this 50% is applied after the curse, or if this 50% value itself is reduced by curse. In other words, we're trying to figure out, are the effects multiplicative or additive for some gamers out there, in a roundabout kind of way. So we want our practice options, juice up the Pikachu. I want to be level 9. I'll take off my move cooldown so it hit me. Okay. Whoa, 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 whoa. All right, calm down, Pikachu. So one thing I wanted to make sure is I don't have a focus band on cooldown. Boom. So we're level 9. We're going to be doing our first data trial. Potion healed us for 1, 4, 6, 7. Make sure you guys write that down. Oh, that's from earlier. There we go. 1, 4, 6, 7. All right, boom. Now we're gonna Unite move, and we want to find out what that value is again. Let this Pikachu beat me up once more. We don't want to be affected by the curse item there. So Unite move, shields on me, heal. 2200. 2, 2, 0, 0. Is that in line with our initial hypothesis? And also, did we level up to level 10? We didn't. Okay. Times 1.5. 2200. Okay, so far, our math checks out. We're doing good. Now, the next data set that we need to know is what is the effect of our potion at level 9 while under the effect of a cursed item. So we're going to have to be a little quick with this. Allow Pikachu to hit me. We died. Okay, I got the curse items on me. 1026, guys. 1026. Let's make Pikachu chill out. Make sure you write that down. 1026. Now, does that fall in line with our initial estimation? Does the math add up? 1467 times 0.7? 1026. So far, so good. We've done the math correctly. Our data trials are looking good. Now is the big question. What are the effects under our Unite move bonus healing? For fun, let's try to figure out what they could be, right? So under our first estimation, it would be we would do 2200 times 0.7, which would give us 1540. So this is potential one. Or what it could be is instead of us getting this 1.5 healing, that amount goes down by 0.3 into 1.2, right? So then we'd multiply our base by 1.2 instead, which should be a different number, and it is. That value is much higher. Okay. So these are the two numbers. It's not division, that's versus. It should be one of these two numbers. 1540 or 1760. Pikachu is here. You may hit me now, Pikachu. $18.15. Okay. I think that should be it. $18.15. That seemed right. Cool. Now the issue is, where did that number come from? Divided by 18.15. Wait a second, guys. There was a third possibility that I might not have considered. Is it possible that the 1.5 and the 0.3 have some kind of relationship here? Guys, what if the 1.5 value and the minus 0.3 value are multiplicatively related into multiplicatively on the healing recovery? I'm way closer than I thought I would be. But why is it 21% and not 20 though? The hypothesis was, do the cursed items anti-recovery effects simply make you heal less, or do they interact with HP recovery in some other kind of way? Now, Tree's Unite move increases the amount that Tree heals after their Unite move. Does the cursed item lower that increased amount, or does it lower just overall? Now, I think most people would have theorized it'd be the latter, where it just, whatever the amount you're supposed to get healed, it gets reduced by 30%. But it looks like what we're finding here is that my hypothesis, where the cursed item is simply lowering the amount you get healed, lowering the extra amount you ought to be healed by its own factor, and then applying it might be true. In other words, right, Tree, let's do some bro math here, all right? Down here, Tree, when ult equals 1.5 times healing. When Tree is under the effect of a cursed item, he heals 30% less. Or, you know, we could do plus 1.5 minus 0.3, plus 50% or minus 30%. It looks like what the game is doing is it's doing 1.5 minus 0.3 equals 1.2, and his new healing amount now is 20%. Okay, why is this important? Because now if this works the same way for Rescue Hood, there might be an argument to use Rescue Hood over special attack items. Because right now, the common understanding is that you would not use Rescue Hood because you could just use special attack items instead, right? And we can illustrate this very easily, right? So let's take a small tangent. You guys have been in school before. Tangents are a part of class. So let's take Blissey, for example. We're going to set Blissey to level 6. One thing that we want to note down on Blissey is Blissey's special attack right now, which is 1. So let's label our notes. Blissey, right? Level 6. Our SP is 179. Right? Let's write down our soft-boiled ratio. Let's just take a screenshot of it. So without pressing click to show value, we should be able to calculate what our level 6 baseline heal would be very easily. We take our base special attack, multiply it by 1.7. We get 304 because it's 170% of our special attack. The second part of this equation is how much you get from your levels. In Blissey's case, it's 0 times your level minus 1, aka leveling up does not affect soft boil directly. Only leveling up and increasing your stat does, plus a flat value of 220. So plus 220 goes 524. I imagine I click this, it should say 524. Perfect. So if we were to equip, let's say, Wise Glasses, so our base healing now, B, remember for base healing is 524. We'll say Wise Glasses healing, and then Rescue Hood healing, okay? So Wise Glasses increases our special attack by plus 20, plus 39, 37, what's the exact value? 39, and then 7%. So our base special attack, remember, was 179 plus 37 times 1.07 for 7%. So now our new special attack is 231. Write that down over here. We'll plug that back into our formula. So 231 times 1.7 for 170%, no level scaling, plus 220. Press the minus button somehow. Which makes our new healing value 612. So this is how much Blissey heals at level 6 without no items, no emblems. With just Wise Glasses, we increase that amount to 612. Now, if we had just Rescue Hood, that ought to be 524 times 1.1, which is 10%, aka 576. Now, what do any of these numbers mean? These numbers, right, and this is Blissey's healing to other people, correct? This means that with no modifiers to your healing, you heal this much. With just Wise Glasses, you heal this much. With just Rescue Hood, you heal this much. In which case, you would rather run Wise Glasses over Rescue Hood, right? It just heals you more and you do more damage, right? So you would just run Rescue Hood. But, right, if there's some kind of special interaction with cursed items, maybe you could leverage cursed items to mitigate some of this effect. And let's plug those numbers into the previous formulas that we had earlier, right? So what would Blissey's healing baseline be if affected by a cursed item? Well, it ought to be 0.7, like, 30% removed. So 366. What's Blissey's healing from the cursed item under the effects of Wise Glasses? Again, 0.7. It ought to be 428. Now, we don't exactly understand how it would work with Rescue Hood. If it works in the way that you just take this Rescue Hood value and you remove 30% from it, well, that could be just 403, which would still make it worse, right? Or it could also be that instead of the curse items reducing your healing output by 30%, they reduce your healing output by 20% because Rescue Hood in return increases it by 10%, right? And that lever for anti-healing is what gets affected. That would make it, we take our baseline 524 and then reduce that by 524 times 0.8, which would give us 419, which is still lower than Wise Glasses, right? But it might introduce some breakpoints where it makes Rescue Hood better, right? It still doesn't catch up to just raw special attack, but there's a difference and it brings it closer. So it's worth knowing, right? And say we want to apply Delphox on top of this, right? So if Rescue Hood works in our supposed way, this means that Rescue Hood would be a better item to counteract the negative healing from Delphox than a special attack item would be under the effects of that anti-healing. So it is kind of valuable to know, right? By quite a big margin, right? This is a very specific level 6 example, right? Not a great example, but by almost a 29%, barely better, that's 29%, almost 30% difference. That's pretty good. Allegedly, potentially. So we ought to test this for sure. What's a good consistent healing support we can use to try this? Moonlight Clef. I think Moonlight Clef might be better. Yeah, Moonlight Clef sounds the best to do here. What is our base healing value? Right? We're gonna want to know that. What is our healing value when under the effect of a cursed item? What is our healing value with Rescue Hood? And then our healing value with Rescue Hood under the effects of a cursed item. Once again, our baseline healing formula is just going to be B. For cursed items, it should be 0.7 B because we reduce our healing output by 30%. For Rescue Hood, it should be an additional 10% or 1.1 B. And then for this, we have two different theories, so we'll label theory 1 and theory 2, right? And I'll write this over here in small, and we'll write our theory in yellow. So our theory for 1 would be that it's the cursed item, so it would just be RH times 0.7, aka just a reduced version of the Rescue Hood, or is the base being multiplied by not 0.8 by 0.7 anymore, but by 0.8. So once we have this value and this value, this one here and this one here, we can estimate these two. Well, I guess we need all the other values, so we'll estimate them. Let's get in game. So I'm gonna stay level 3 the whole time. That's the goal. Let me get the... This should just give me level 3, right? All right, we want you to walk away, because let me get solo XP on this. You gotta go take damage somewhere, Draco. That's your job. And make sure you don't slack off when I heal you, because slack off will mess up the calculations. Okay. So, Draco, damage Draco a lot. You know, get him low. Hurt him. Hurt him hard. Harder. Okay, we can stop now. So I'm gonna let the curse item make sure it's not active. Give it 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Heal pulse. 399. Everyone write that down. 399. 399. Oh wait, that's with Rescue Hood. That's with Rescue Hood. 399. Does that make sense? Is that 363 times 1.1? 399. Okay, perfect. So far, so good. This is 363. We can confirm that by math, confirm it by reverse engineering our Rescue Hood. Everything looks good there. Okay, we're gonna go take a berry because you're a little bit too low, I'd say. Get a berry. And now what we're gonna do is I want to heal Draco while he's under the effect of a cursed thing. So whenever you're ready, go ahead and damage him with an ability. 279. Write that down, guys. Write that down. 279. Or I guess that's the value that's going here. So now, how are these two numbers related? Let's just do the initial check. Okay, hold on. Let's plug in our formula. We'll put our formula back in. So, Rescue Hood value was 399 times 0.7. Oh no, we did divided, sorry. It's 279. Okay. So it does work this way with Rescue Hood. Rescue Hood's effect does not take into account the cursed item. It just happens afterwards. But for Tree, on the other hand, it works differently. Huh. Okay, so interesting find. The conclusion here, right? We're going to do a bonus test, right? We're going to go ahead and test Slowbro as well after this. But to give you guys a conclusion, and, you know, if you're watching this on YouTube, we'll have this time stamped. So you can just skip ahead if you don't want to go through all the math and whatnot. The conclusion here is that Rescue Hood sucks. Now, the thing is if Rescue Hood counteracted some of the anti-healing from the cursed items, then Rescue Hood would potentially be able to be an alternative to running special attack items, right? The issue is all the special attack items in the game currently improve your healing output so much more than Rescue Hood is able to. In addition, the Rescue Hood also provides you with no damage. Let's do a quick breakdown of Rescue Hood's effects, right? We've got that here in our slide. So Rescue Hood increases your healing by 10%. Special attack items increase your healing anywhere from 15 to sometimes 100%, right? Like, if you have a fully stacked special attack specs in the early game, you can almost double your healing output in some cases, right? If you want to take Wise Glasses, a consistent item, it's always going to give you at least 10% more healing, okay? So, there's different factors to compare, right? Well, let's, Rescue Hood does suck, but let's lay them out. So we'll do a pros and cons, okay? Rescue Hood versus special attacks, right? In the department of healing, right? Who wins? Is it Rescue Hood or special attack specs? Well, it's Rescue Hood. In the department of bulk, who wins? Now, I know you might be thinking that Rescue Hood provides defense and special attack items never provide any defensive stats. So this ought to be a check mark for Rescue Hood. But nay, I would argue that being able to increase the amount you heal yourself through the form of special attack provides you with more relevant, effective HP in almost every game scenario. That Rescue Hood as an item is worse at protecting yourself than its special attack counterparts. And finally, in the department of shields, This is one thing I see the live students talking about a lot right now in the chat. Oh, but Rescue Hood affects shields. Did you know that many of your sources in game that also affect your shielding are also affected by special attack? Let me show you. Blissey Safeguard, also impacted by your special attack. Blissey's Unite move, also impacted by your special attack. Now, is it possible for some of these shielding sources, Rescue Hood might be stronger? It might be, maybe a little bit. But these shield values, at least for Blissey's Unite move, are already so high that getting more value out of your special attack items, which affects you here, 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 very much so here, and here, and here, are probably better. So what did we learn today? Okay, so I'm gonna go give this a check mark. What we were testing today was is it possible that curse items, right? In the world of cursed items, that Rescue Hood would give you more utility compared to a special attack item. And I was hoping the answer might be yes, but I'm an unbiased mathematician, and I was okay with either answer. So while my hypothesis and my goal was that Rescue Hood would be better, in reality, special attack items are still better. So yeah, there doesn't seem to be much of a point for Rescue Hood. Not yet, at least. One thing, right? If you did want to get down into the weeds and be ultra semantical, one thing you could say that the Rescue Hood does that other items, like special attack items, don't, is Buddy Barrier. Rescue Hood is better at buffing your Buddy Barrier when compared to special attack specs, because it does work on that. But is that good enough reason? Probably not. I'm gonna go ahead and conclude our session of Inder University there. I do appreciate you guys, sticking it with me. I know this one might have been a little bit more tough to follow along with, but hopefully the math added up. Hopefully it clicked for some of you. If you aren't used to doing math and you're doing more math on a Pokemon Unite piece of content than you're at school, maybe I taught you something about math. Hopefully not. You don't want to learn your math from me. And if you guys want to stick around at the end of the session where there's going to be some extra credit, you may, you are excused. You may leave. The bell has rang. But there's one more thing that I did want to test. So we're going to go ahead and test that now as well. What I wanted to test, guys, so Tree appears to have this imaginary lever where curse items affect Tree a little bit less compared to the way they affect Rescue Hooded characters. Don't know why it works that way. But does Slowbro work the same way? Let's find out. Okay, so for this Slowbro test, it's going to be, same parameters. This is going to be, we want to know his baseline healing. Slowbro. Whoop. We want to know his baseline healing. So we're going to do potion under slack off. And then healing. We're going to do baseline and then baseline under slack off for BS, so base slack off. And then we want to know slack off with cursed item. So his baseline, BS for baseline with slack off, and slack off with cursed item. So slack off is an ability that has a modifier that increases your self-healing amount. Okay. So normal potion, 934. Let's go ahead and write that down. 934. Now we want to know while we slack off what our potion healing is. So 934 is baseline. Slack off 1868. You saw that big heal, right? Because when you heal during slack off, you get bonus healing. If you didn't know that, now you know. 1868. Is that just double? That looks like that's just double, right? Times 2. Yeah, it just doubles your healing. Now, while Slowbro is cursed and he does a slack off heal, is his healing going to be 1868 reduced by 30%? So will it be, and we'll write this in a different color. Will it be 1307? Or instead of it being times 2, it'll be times 1.7, or it'll be 934 times 1.7, or something close to this, which would be 1587. Let's just try to find out. Okay. Next thunder. 1307. So it was the former. So it was the 1307. So why did tree work differently, guys? Should we redo the tree test? I feel like we gotta do it. We gotta redo the tree test. Because the trees test would lead us to believe Slowbro's healing would be this. All right, let's redo the test with tree. So we're back at it again. Tree. We want to know his baseline with alt, aka his bolt. It's all in green now, baby. And then under cursed items with alt, aka, oh god, not his cult, his CU. Okay, so once again, potion heals us for 1467. 1467. Our potion with ult. Let's get us really low. It's 2200. So that's just simply an additional 50%, right? 4 and 4 is 6, 7 times 1.5 is 2200. Now, what happens when we get cursed itemed? So in fact, what I can do is go invincible, which I didn't realize earlier I could have done. $1760. 1760. So was that just 2200 times 0.7? It's not, right? So here's the dealio, guys. Why does tree just work differently compared to Slowbro and the rescue hood? The tree just works differently. Trees instead does the other thing that I was saying, where it takes his baseline amount, 1467, and instead of it being a 30% reduction, it does like some kind of 20% reduction. Yeah. Into 1760. Isn't that the 1.5 minus 3? Exactly, Black Mamba. You got it. It is 1.5 minus 3, aka 1.2. But why does Rescue Hood not work that way? Why does Slowbro not work that way? We don't know. It's quite bizarre, no? That trees HP recovery effects work differently. You might have just found a bug. Look, man, we don't use that word around here, okay? If you start saying that too much, they might put tree in jail. Do you want to put tree in jail? This is what tree looks like in jail, okay? Let me show you what you're asking for. Do you want to put this guy in jail, man? Hold on. That's what he looks like in jail. Do you want that? Because this is what will happen. Can't he walk through? He's just a ghost. No, man. Tree's more than just a ghost. He's a tree. Hands out of jail. You just put his hands in jail too. All right, guys. The extra credit's over, though. Thank you guys for coming to class. You guys say bye to YouTube. Blah, blah, blah. Interesting, though, right? I'm intrigued.